Love for brief praise. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjanasvalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarini. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So let me share my screen so we can discuss Bhagavad Gita 18th chapter, 61st verse today. Yeah, let me see. So it's a chapter, this is a concluding chapter of the entire Bhagavad Gita, where in the last few verses, we are reading the key verses of Bhagavad Gita. ईश्वर सर्वभूतानां हृद्देशे अर्जुन तिष्ठति भ्रामयन् सर्वभूतानि यन्त्रारूढानि मायया. Synonyms. Ishvaraha, the Supreme Lord, Sarvabhutanam, of all living entities, Hriddeshe, in the location of the heart, Arjuna, O Arjuna, Tishtati, resides, Brahmayan, causing to travel, Sarvabhutani, all living entities, Yantra, on a machine, Arudani, being placed, Mayaya, under the spell of mental energy. So I don't know, Mati, are you in a position to read by any chance? If not, I can read also.
Okay. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjun, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy.
I can read the purport also, Mati, if it's okay.
Oh, the purport. Arjun was not the supreme knower, and his decision to fight or not to fight was confined to his limited discretion. Lord Krishna instructed that the individual is not all in all, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or He Himself, Krishna, the localized Supersoul, sits in the heart directing the living being. After changing bodies, the living entity forgets his past deeds, but the Supersoul, as the knower of the past, present, and future, remains the witness of all his activities. Therefore, all the activities of living entities are directed by this supersoul. The living entity gets what he deserves and is carried by the material body which is created in the material energy under the direction of the supersoul. As soon as the living entity is placed in a particular type of body, he has to work under the spell of that bodily situation. A person seated in a high speed motor car goes faster than one seated in a slower car, though the living entities, the drivers, may be the same. Similarly, by the order of the Supreme Soul, material nature fashions a particular type of body to a particular type of living entity to work according to his past desires. The living entity is not independent. One should not think himself independent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The individual is always under his control, therefore, his duty is to surrender, and that is the injunction of the next verse. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mati. So we'll discuss this briefly. Overall, the context of this verse, I'll mention briefly. So 18th chapter is entire the conclusion of the entire Bhagavad Gita. And within that context, this last section, Lord Krishna is speaking to Arjuna about how to act in Krishna consciousness. That means how to act in pure bhakti. So that way, everything will be according to the will of Krishna. So in the last few verses, Krishna described how when somebody performs activities in bhakti, that will lead to Krishna's abode, Goloka Vrindavan, like that. And that's why Krishna recommended that work in Krishna consciousness, taking shelter of Bhakti Yoga with fixed intelligence, always consciousness of me, and depend on my protection. and making me the goal of life. Like that, he directly told in the previous verses before this. And just before this, in he also mentioned, you will cross over all the obstacles in life by my grace if you be conscious of me, like that it is he described. And then following verse around 58, half of the 58 verse and up to 60th verse, if you don't follow me, that means if you don't work in Krishna consciousness, what happens? It mentioned. Basically said, if you don't hear me and act of your pride and false ego, then you will perish, like that it describes. And the following verse, just a couple of verses before this, so even if you don't follow me, you have to work according to your nature anyway. You have a Kshatriya nature, so you'll be impelled to fight anyway. You'll be impelled by mode of passion to fight. Like that, Krishna was describing in the previous verses. Now, in these 61 to 63 verses, Krishna is describing the importance of surrendering to the super soul, surrendering to Krishna. That means importance of acting in Krishna consciousness. That is the portion is describing. This verse is a precursor to the famous verse in 66, which is Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Raja Hamtam Sarvapapyo Mokshishami Masuchaha. So this is building up to that verse, surrendering. So before he talks about surrender, this verse he specifically says that super soul is also living with you in the body and he is the master and director. That is the essence of this particular verse. So he's introducing the super soul topic, finally leading to saying that we need to surrender to Krishna and that way he will take care of all our sins and we don't need to worry. That's where he's going in the context wise. So now in this particular verse, let me share that briefly again and then we can discuss some more on this verse. These are very crucial understandings for us as practicing devotees to live a life of devotion, to practically live a life of devotion. So, in this verse saying, Hriddesya Arjuna Tistati. So, Lord is situated in everyone's heart. So, not some people's heart, not only human beings' heart, not only animals' heart like that. All living entities, Sarva Bhutana. That means some of us souls are in human body like we are now. Some other souls are in insects body, germs body. Some other souls are in animal body. Some other souls are in bird body. Some other souls may be in fish body. Like that, it may have different bodies, living entities. But he is there in every living being. That is the point he's mentioning. Number one. This has very great significance. We'll discuss about that. And like Prabhupada is also emphasizing the purport. And then second point is making is what is he doing by being in each living being? Super soul is directing the wanderings of all living entities. Interestingly, it doesn't say traveling of all living entities. So why is that? Because as spirit souls, we act in this body in a certain way because of the karmic reactions of that activity and because of the desires we carry in this life, then we go to next life in another body, either in this planet, in the or in a higher planet or a lower planet, either in the human form of life or a lower form of life or a higher form of life, like demigod, for example. So, but we're wandering in the material universe or multiple universes even. So, that's what is describing. But Krishna is directing further wandering also. Then he's saying living entities are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. What is that reference to? The machine reference is to our material body that we have. So, living entities are situated in the material body and that material body is made of five material elements we know: earth, water, fire, air and ether, which is part of material energy. That's what is basically is essentially saying living entities are embodied in this material body and for along with the living entity, I as super soul am existing in everyone's heart region also is describing. Now, Naturally, somebody gets doubts on this topic. People with scientific thought process get a doubt about is situating in heart. We heard in the second chapter also that spirit soul is situated in the region of the heart. We heard in the second chapter also. Now we are hearing similar thing again, that not only spirit soul is situated in the region of heart, super soul is also situated in this region of heart. So generally there is a confusion for uh, some people, that the heart referred here is that the biological heart. So when we replace the heart, what happens? Soul goes with it, super soul goes with it to another body. What happens? That kind of doubts some devotees get. So this is our acharyas explain, devotees explain to us. Basically, the heart referenced here is not necessarily the biological heart. The heart referenced here is the heart is a symbol for seat of emotions. For example, we all know in the material world also, people draw a heart symbol with arrow to indicate love between people, two people like that. What are they referencing? They're not referencing biological heart and arrows pass to biological heart. No, they're referring to seat of emotions. That is a indication here. Hridayam is the word used. So that is one point to understand. And then second point to understand is here Krishna is referring, we're wandering throughout, living entities are wandering, not just traveling. When you say, when we use the word travel, for example, when we say that I am traveling from here to New York, I'm traveling from here to Boston, like that. When we have a particular direction and particular destination, so when we're purposeful in our going somewhere, then we call it as a travel usually. And then when there's no purpose, when there's no fixed destination for us, we're just going somehow with the life. Whatever comes in the way, we do it. Then that is called as wandering. Unfortunately, many living entities do not understand the purpose of life. Unless they get a association of devotee, then they understand what is the purpose of life, why am I doing this, why I should do that, why I should not do that, how I should behave like this, how I should not behave like this. We all understand that with the higher purpose of life being clear, which is to attain Krishna Prema, to attain a relationship with Krishna, Supreme Lord, so that we can be eternally, permanently happy always. So that's the higher purpose of life. So when we know that, then we can be purposeful in our life. Otherwise, we may not be purposeful in our life. That's the point being made. And then other point in this verse that Prabhupada is highlighting is that, and also the verse is describing that I'm directing, super soul is directing the spirit soul. Yeah. So the directing portion is important to understand also. So first of all, super soul is there along with us all the time. That itself is a great relief and great happiness it can bring to us. Because super soul, no matter what body we enter, unlike our some material friends, they may be there for 1 year, 10 years, 40 years, 50 years. After that, they're gone. Either they're gone because of a fight, or because of some circumstantially they are not able to reach us anymore, or they left this planet also. But unlike that, Krishna is always with us as a super soul. Whether we go in this body or another body or another universe, another planetary system, doesn't matter, is always there. So that means he is a, in Bhagavad Gita 5th chapter, last verse of 5th chapter, we hear Bhoktaram Yagnatavasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suhrudam Sarvabhutanam Gnatva Mam Santim Richati. Suhrudam Sarvabhutanam is not only there with us, he is our best well-wisher also. So that also gives relief and happiness to us and hope for us that Krishna is there with me. The greatest personality in the world is there with me. He can help me. So we don't need to lose hope at any time. In fact, we might lose hope sometime. Oh, I am suffering with this bad quality. I thought I will fix it last month, but I'm still again back to same bad quality. Oh, I thought I'll fix it last week, but again same thing I'm repeating in this quality, like that we might think. So we might lose hope about ourselves. But Krishna doesn't lose hope on us anytime. Krishna is always there, eagerly looking forward to guide us, to give us grace at any time we look at him. In fact, we might remember in the earlier chapters, Srila Prabhupada writes in one of the purports in second chapter, he references Mundaka Upanishad. Why do Acharyas reference other scriptures to make a point? So that it's very clear. It's not coming from their mind. It's authentic. It's coming from scriptures. Like that they were referencing. So Srila Prabhupada, when he refers to Mundaka Upanishad in the second chapter purports, he's referring to how there's a tree and there are two birds in the tree. One tree is busy eating fruits and another tree is just sitting silent as a witness watching the other bird eating the fruits, and like a witness, like that it is described in that context. So in that, so the what we are doing, we as a jiva, as the bird that is eating fruits, that means is trying to eat fruit from this branch, this branch. Sometimes it get a sweet fruit, sometimes it get bitter fruit, like that. Similarly, we're facing some reactions or this reaction, some good suffering, good reactions that will lead to some enjoyment, some bad reactions that lead to some suffering. Like that, we're keeping on going on in the material world without and being busy with that activity without looking at super soul. Whereas the bird super soul like other bird, witnessing bird, is watching to see when he will turn to me so he can help me. But we are not watching. We're only busy doing whatever we want to do, like that. So that is the analogy given there. Similarly, super soul is always waiting to guide us, waiting to give us mercy, waiting to give us grace, as long as we look towards him, as long as we want to execute against his will, do everything according to his will, like that. So that's the other aspect that we can know. And then another important aspect I mentioned earlier is the super soul is directing the living entity. What is the super soul doing in the living being? It has few functions. One is Upadashta, Anumanta. These are the words used. Basically, first is is the witness, is the observer of our activity, like that. That we briefly talked about already. Number one. Number two is a Anumanta. That means Anumati. Anumati means sanctioning or giving permission, like that. So he's a sanctioner. You might remember 18th chapter, actually third chapter also has three factors of action. And 18th chapter, few previous verses also talks about five factors of action. So the simple explanation Krishna gives first in the third chapter, I believe. That's where three factors of action comes up. So where is describing like a triangle, which is very important. Three concepts, which is a triangle. One is three entities and relationship between three entities. That is one of the important lesson we can learn in Bhagavad Gita. When we understand this properly, then we can conduct our life according to that understanding easily. What is that three elements in the triangle? For example, Ishvara, our Supreme Lord, let us say, is on the top of the triangle. And then one another angle of the triangle is Jiva, are the living entity, all of us. So Ishvara, Supreme Lord, Jiva are living entities like us. And then third angle of the triangle is material nature or Prakriti or Maya. So there's a three interchangeably they're used actually. Material nature is the best simple way to represent it. So Ishvara, Supreme Lord, Jiva are living entities, or Prakriti are material nature. So in one sense, Bhagavad Gita can be understood in different angles. One angle is to understand these core concepts. What is the interaction between these three entities? Ishvara, Supreme Lord, Jiva living entities, and Prakriti material nature. So what happens is, whenever originally we're all we're all in the spiritual world, engaged in the service of Krishna, harmoniously with one another. All of us are harmoniously serving one entity, that is Krishna, one Supreme Lord, one Master, and to please Him. And then through that we derive our spiritual enjoyment. Whereas at one point of time we thought, oh, I want to enjoy separately from Krishna. I want to enjoy independently from Krishna. But that is not possible in the spiritual world. So Krishna arranged this material world for us, so that way we can we can try to enjoy in this material world, understand that it's not possible to enjoy separately without Krishna, and then rectify ourselves and willingly turn towards Krishna and serve Him and be happy here, and then go back to Him for eternal life of happiness and bliss. So that is why he arranged this material world. That's why he arranged the mechanism of the material body we have. And that is why he arranged the material nature to facilitate everything that is going through, including the law of karma. So, so based on our desire, Krishna gave us this material body. So because only through the mechanism of material body, we can interact with material nature and try to enjoy like that and try to fulfill our desires. So that is why Krishna embodied this body made from material nature, material elements. So now back to the triangle we were discussing, Supreme Lord, living entities, and material nature. So how the interaction works is when some people think whatever I desire I can do it. Not really. Whatever I desire I can get it. Not really. Because for example I'm very very poor and I desire that I want tomorrow $100 million. Will I get it? There's a possibility I may get it. How? I might win a lottery, or one of my grandmother or grandfather passed away and they have so much wealth, they give it to me readily. That possibility is there. But possibility is also there, I will not get it also. But what is the factor that is determining whether all my desires are getting fulfilled or not? Is the factor is Supreme Lord's sanction. And Supreme Lord sanction saying that, oh, this Sundarananda seems to be nice. I will give him some extra money. This person seems to be not nice. I will not give money. He's arbitrarily making up his mind. That is why if somebody has a lot of money, somebody has very little money. No, there's a whole system Krishna arranged to keep us accountable for our own actions. In fact, even though I'm desiring for certain thing to happen, what happens is that requires sanctioning. I as a living entity may desire, but Supreme Lord needs to sanction it. So generally we hear the common phrase that Prabhupada often used to repeat also that man desires and uh, God disposes, something like that he discussed, right? Man proposes and God disposes, like that is Prabhupada says. So basically, we have the desire and Supreme Lord needs to sanction it. Then only it can become reality. But how does it become reality? When Supreme Lord sanctions it, then he empowers the material nature to make it happen. So, because everything we are experiencing is to material nature through body. So that means he will empower us to do things with the body. He will empower us to do, empower other people to do something for us, like that. So, these are the three important factors of action. One is we are desiring, Krishna is sanctioning, and then material nature is facilitating that fulfillment of that desire, like that. So, all three are important. And more importantly, let us say I desire to steal some money from somebody, or I desire to kill somebody, I desire to hurt somebody. Then even that bad activity also needs sanction from Krishna. And then now somebody may say, Krishna, now somebody may also hear that there's a verse from Brahma Samhita, first verse, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam Sarva Karana Karanam is the cause of all causes. And the way it's described by devotees is that even a blade of grass also doesn't move without the sanction of Krishna, Supreme Lord. Now, somebody may use this argument to say that, oh, I stole money from others because Krishna made me do it. I killed somebody because Krishna made me do it. After all, he is the cause of all causes. Nothing moves without Krishna's sanction. So, because of that, Krishna should get all the karma back, all the bad reactions for the actions I did. Because he only sanctioned. Otherwise, I will not get the problem at all. Somebody may think like that. So, the mature understanding of the law of karma is, and the factors of action is that I am desiring and Supreme Lord is sanctioning. So if I desire to do good thing, Supreme Lord sanctions the good thing. If I desire to do bad thing, Supreme Lord sanctions the bad thing. Like that, he remains as a neutral in the function as a function of super soul or Paramatma. So that's how he works. And number one. Number one is neutral and is fulfilling our desires. Number one. Number two, he only fulfills the desires that we deserve. That means I might think that I want 100 million honor by tomorrow morning when I wake up. Krishna, please help me. I want to get $100 million. Please help me, Krishna. I want to get $100 million. I might think like that. I might desire like that. But unless I have some pious karma credits from the past, either from previous lives or in this life, Krishna may not sanction that as an independent, neutral, super soul authority, sanctioning authority. Yeah, that's the important principle to understand. So that means Supreme Lord as super soul is sanctioning our desires based on how much we deserve. That's why some happiness, even though we want it, we'll not get it. Some happiness, even though we don't want it, we'll get it. Why? Because of past credits we have. So that means when we understand this, then we understand I don't need to work 80 hours, 100 hours a week because whatever quota of happiness and suffering I need to get, I'll get anyway. So I work as my scheduled quota, my 40 hours a week or 37.5 hours a week, whatever our duty. So that way we work a limited quota of us so that we have time to spend with our family members, with our wife, with our husband, with our children. And then also we have time to do some exercise, time to take care of health, time to eat properly, sit and eat properly. And then we also have time to practice spiritual life, more importantly. That means we have time to chant our Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and hear every day from Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, or read scriptures every day, or worship deity every day. Like that, we make time for spiritual life also in this life because that is the ultimate goal. So if you're not able to spend time for the ultimate goal, then how can we progress in our spiritual life? That is an important factor to consider. So accordingly, we do limited amount of work. We take care of the family members. We take care of the relatives. We take care of the society service with some social service also, whatever is needed. But we also ensure there's a time for I talked to my daughter because we like this phrase from Srimad Bhagavatam. We also need to reserve some time, energy, and enthusiasm for spiritual life also. Because I might have lot of energy and lot of enthusiasm, but if I don't have time, I cannot do spiritual life because there is no time. What can I do? I might have a lot of time, but all my energy is exhausted by doing some severe hard work, then I don't have any energy to do any spiritual life anymore. Or I have a lot of time, I have a lot of energy, but I don't have any enthusiasm. How does that happen? When we don't have devotee association, then our enthusiasm can go down. Then, if I don't have enthusiasm, even though I have time and energy, I don't feel like doing spiritual life. I rather do something else, watching movie or something like that. Some waste of time like that. That's why it's important to conserve the time, energy, and enthusiasm we have and protect these three things so that we can practice our spiritual life also to so that we can go towards our ultimate goal, progress towards our ultimate goal to obtain Krishna Prema, to be engaged in loving service to Krishna, like that. So that's another factor to understand. So how did we come to this point? That based on what we desire and what we deserve, Supreme Lord is sanctioning. Yeah, that means we need to develop the right desires so that Supreme Lord can sanction. So what are the right desires? Right desires are something that helps us to progressively serve Krishna better, more and better, like that, regularly. So that's how we can develop the right desires. But how do we develop those right desires? When we take the devotee association regularly, when we're reading scriptures regularly, when we're hearing from sadhus regularly, then we develop the right desires. Because our desires come based on the association that we maintain, based on what we are hearing, based on what we are eating, based on what we are seeing, based on the association that we have for senses. That is how we develop the desires. So if I'm hearing always about Hawaii, 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 Hawaii from my friends, then I'll think, maybe I should try going to Hawaii next summer. Like that, the desires start popping up. But if I'm in association of devotees who are thinking, how can I do seva? I heard in Kartik month, it will be wonderful to place a lamp every day, ghee lamp every day to offer to Krishna in Radha Damodar form, Yashoda Damodar form. It's very beneficial for spiritual life. I want to do that. So I want to do that. Like that, we develop the desire by associating with devotees who are thinking about Kartik already. Then we make arrangements for that accordingly, because based on our desires, we make activities accordingly. So then we'll think, okay, when I go to Indian grocery store next week, I'll get some wicks, cotton wicks, so that it's easy for me to offer. Then next week, after bringing that, I'll put them in ghee so that when they're soaked and ready, so then Kartik comes, I don't need to struggle. Oh, where do you get ghee wicks from? I don't need to struggle. I got a good quality ghee, good quality wicks, so I soak them and ready. Now when Kartik comes, I will offer them, like that. So that's how we get, when we cultivate the right desires in the association of devotees, then we can act in a proper spiritual way to please Krishna, like that. That is another important factor. So another factor is, let us say I have the desires now, but when I change my body at the end of this life, I will forget all the desires, because changing of body, in the previous chapters, Krishna explained this concept already. That, my dear Arjuna, you change so many. You are there eternally, you are there living. I am also eternally living. You change so many bodies, but you forgot what you were doing at that time, previous lives. But I have remembrance all the time, Krishna describes. That's one difference between Krishna and us. Some people think Krishna, I'm also Krishna, you are also Krishna. We're all Krishna. We're all God. So that's not right understanding. We as Jiva are limited in capacity. We have the same quality like Krishna, Sachidananda Vigraha. Similar qualities we have. But we are not a same quantity wise, we are very small compared to Krishna, whose unlimited capacity he has. Unlimited capacity to love everyone, unlimited capacity to serve everyone, unlimited capacity to receive the service, unlimited capacity to reciprocate to somebody serving, like that. Whereas we can only reciprocate with 1, 2, 5, 10, 20, like that. But we cannot reciprocate with millions of people at the same time. Whereas Krishna can do that. One of the example, in the spiritual world, when Krishna every day he goes to the forest with his friends, cowherd friends, Gopa friends, to herd the calves, herd the cows when they became big. So then every day they used to play together, eat lunch together. When they eat lunch together, Krishna used to sit in the middle, and there is a set of friends who sit in a circle form around him. And there's another set of friends who sit in another bigger concentric circle, another set of friends sitting in another bigger concentric circle, like that. Now, Krishna is sitting in the middle, and naturally, if it is one of us, we'll be looking at one side, then the person behind me thinks that I'm not looking at him. That's natural for us. But for Krishna, everybody who's in the circle, all the circles, they experience that Krishna is looking at me only. Krishna is taking food from my hand and eating. Krishna is giving the favorite food that Mother Yashoda gave him. His samosa is feeding with me is with his own hands like that. So everybody has simultaneously reciprocation from Krishna experience, they're experiencing. That's the nature of Supreme Lord Krishna. Whereas we cannot do that. So similarly, Supreme Lord doesn't have any forgetfulness unless it's done for a Leela. So what is he doing? How is he directing the wandering of living entities? That is what described in this verse. That in the past life we might have a desire. Oh, I want to enjoy being a controller of everybody. I want to have a control like that. Then Krishna reminds us, okay, you have the desire to control people. Then we'll think, I want to become a big manager or a big president so I can control so many people like that. Like that, I will make plans towards that controllership now. So that remembrance Krishna gives. So Krishna tells in another verse in the Bhagavad Gita that how he gives the remembrance, forgetfulness, and intelligence for us like that. Memory, intelligence, and forgetfulness like that it gives. So, so like that, Krishna is reminding us of our desires so that we can continue pursuing those desires. And let us say my desire is to raise my hand. So I can desire, but unless Krishna sanctions, my hand cannot move. Even if Krishna sanctions, unless material nature is supporting, my hand cannot move. So, but so the a simple thing like closing my eyes, even for that, there are demigods controlling that. That means I need to desire. So many things are happening in a short span of fraction of a second. I need to desire to close my eyes. Then Krishna needs to sanction it if I deserve. Then um, Krishna arranges, sanctions, approves material nature to act accordingly to facilitate this. Then the brain signals will flow for my eyelid to close like that, or my hand to raise like that. Otherwise, there are neuroscientists who can send a signal to brain and that will tell raise my hand like that. In fact, in the experiments, they do that. That means I may not desire to raise my hand, but they send a signal to brain, I'll raise my hand. But even in that also, unless the desire is there, unless neuroscientists' desire is there, unless they deserve this to happen, Supreme Court doesn't sanction it. For example, I have I get paralysis where my hand doesn't move, let us say. Then, even though I desire, because I don't deserve, my hand will not move. Because Krishna is not sanctioning based on the past karma activity I have done like that. So that is why Krishna is playing a vital role as a director to direct us in a particular way based on our desires. That's another principle we are learning. Another principle Prabhupada is highlighting in the purport is that um, our desires and deserving, and also we are limited by the material body that I'm in. For example, I'm in a cow's body. We see a cow behind me here in Govardhan. So let us say I'm in a cow's body currently. Then, even though I want to talk like a human being, my desire is to talk like a human being, let us say. But I cannot talk like a human being because I'm limited by cow's body. But why am I limited by cow's body currently? Because in the past life, I did actions in such a way, or I desired in such a way, that cow's body is the best body to fulfill the desires. Or cow's body is the best body to suffer or enjoy the karmic reactions I'm supposed to get. So that is why, because of my past actions, now I'm in a limited sphere of influence or limited space of control, limited sphere of experience also, like that. So we have to be very careful what we are doing now, so that way we are designing our next body based on what we are doing now and what we are desiring now. So that means we are not independent, we are fully dependent. When we understand that I'm fully dependent on super soul to sanction anything and everything I'm doing. Right now I'm talking. Unless super soul sanctions it, I cannot speak. When I realize like this for everything, then I will develop so much gratitude for Supreme Lord Krishna. And then I will want to serve him. I want to surrender to him and I want to serve him. So that is what Krishna is invoking with this series of verses. He's telling Super Soul is the director of all the living entities like that. So we pay attention to Super Soul, we be grateful to Super Soul, Krishna, and then act according to his will. So if you want to act according to our will, Krishna will facilitate according to what we deserve. But then if you act according to Krishna's will, then Krishna will also empower us, give us grace so that we can act in a better way like that. That's another important principle to learn. How do we know what is Krishna's will? What is my will versus what is Krishna's will? When we surrender to a bona fide spiritual master and when we act according to the instructions that are given by Guru, then we're acting according to the will of Krishna. Because will of Krishna and will of pure devotee are non-different. Why? Because Krishna desires all of us to be always happy, eternally happy. So much happiness that we never get sadness at all. So, how can we be eternally happy like that? Only by doing devotion service to Krishna. So that's why when Krishna sees that we are making one step to go towards Krishna by chanting some more, little bit more every day, by hearing little bit more every day, or by reading little bit more every day, by serving Vaishnavas little bit more every day, then Krishna is very happy because he understands that we're making steps to progress in bhakti that will make us only happy. So Krishna is happy seeing us happy like that. Normally, we can understand this with a parent's example. Parents are happy when children are, not only when children are playing all the time, but till children are making some concrete steps by following some discipline and by uh, going to school on time, by studying in the school on time, and then by obeying the parents. Then parents are happy, not because they're sadist that they want children to suffer, not play all the time. Children may think, I would love to play all the time. I don't need to go to school. My parents are so bad. They're making me go to school like that, they may think. But parents wise, they want children to go to school. They want children to follow certain rules. Why? For their own happiness. Similarly, Krishna wants our own happiness. For that, he arranged certain rules for us to live with. That way, when we accept those rules of bhakti and follow those rules of bhakti and practice to please him, then Krishna is very happy. Why? Because it is making us only happy. We are making our future happy. Like how parents are happy when children are studying nicely and following some rules now. Similarly, Krishna is happy when we are following the rules of bhakti and trying to serve him. So this verse is a precursor for the upcoming verses you're going to hear, that is talking about how we need to understand Supreme Lord's role in our life, Supreme Lord's sanctioning in everything that we want to do, everything that we want to desire to happen, and surrender to Him, surrender to His will. That is the essence of this verse today. And to understand the nature of the Super Soul and Supreme Lord, so that we can act according to Supreme Lord's will. Yeah, I'll pause there. Any comments or questions, Mataji, for you?
Um, Thank you, Prabhuji. It was a very, very enlightening um, discourse. Um, yes, you mentioned that the super soul resides, situated. It doesn't travel. It doesn't wander. Like spirit soul wanders, the super soul stays. So how does the like when the spirit? How does the spirit soul travel after leaving the body? And who takes it to different body? Does the super soul, if it stays in the, it doesn't wander, but this then does it leave it alone?
Okay. I don't know what context I mentioned that. I did not mean that super soul doesn't leave the body. I didn't mean that if I said that.
Okay.
What I was saying is, uh, as a soul, without purpose, we may be wandering by wanting this action, this, I want to enjoy this way, I want to enjoy this way like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because of our karmic actions that we are performing. So we're going to different bodies like that and in different universes or different planetary systems like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we're wandering. Whereas Krishna does not have any material body like anyone else, any of us. He has
Yes.
only, even if he comes in a spiritual body only.
Mhm.
So he doesn't have anything like that. But I think we were discussing this topic in one of the previous classes also, that like you were indicating, super soul accompanies living entity as long as we are in the material world. Wherever we're going,
Mhm.
super soul has full hope on us. Super soul is always ready to serve us, ready to help us, ready to give
Mhm.
us grace, ready to give guidance. So always super soul along with the subtle body, the soul goes through from one body to next body as long as we're in material world. The moment we go to spiritual world, there's no super soul. There's directly Krishna there. Yeah.
And okay, so super soul goes with us. What happened to Kundalini Shakti and different deities of our various senses? Do they leave us?
Yeah, very nice question. So basically, even the like how jivas, devatas are also, even though they're very, very powerful, they're controlling my eyelids right now. They
Mhm.
can control the motion of my hand.
Mhm.
They're doing so much great services for all
Mhm.
of us and for Supreme Lord also. They're
Mhm.
controlling the planets staying in orbits like that.
Mhm.
They're giving us air to live with, water to drink and sustain,
Mhm.
light, heat and light by sunlight like that, right?
Mhm.
They're doing all these things for us, but they are also remaining in the material world only, and they have limited lifespan also. So when we leave this body, then the demigods will go back to their original positions. And the demigods have, not like us, I don't know, you might have heard, even great yogis, Ashtanga yogis, they can expand themselves onto one, two forms, three forms, four forms, five forms, six forms, seven forms, eight forms, it seems.
Mhm.
Great Ashtanga yogis.
Mhm.
But one drawback or limitation is, even though they can expand as eight different same people, looking same, exactly same.
Mhm.
But if I raise my hand, all the other seven need to raise a hand.
Okay.
That's the drawback of even when you get a different bodies like that.
Mhm.
But when Krishna in Dwaraka, he expanded himself as 16,108 Krishnas to
Mhm.
take care of 16,108 wives.
Mhm.
In one home, when Narada Muni was visiting, that's described in Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto, in one home, he's milking the cows. Another home is playing with children. Another home is talking nicely with his wife. Like that, another home is giving charity. Another home is meditating on himself. Like that, is doing different activities. That is the Supreme Lord and us the difference. Like that. Whereas
Mhm.
the Devatas also can expand. That's the reason I'm explaining this example to explain.
Mhm.
Devatas also can expand, and Devatas go back to their abode like that. That's what is clear. And there are unlimited number of Devatas, not just one Devata. And
Mhm.
that Devata, just because Devata is controlling my eyelid to close, doesn't mean Devata is sitting right here.
Mhm.
He can control from different place also, like that. So that's the other aspect. That means unlike the super soul is staying with us all the time,
Mhm.
not all devatas may not be in our body. Yeah, that's another factor to understand.
Okay.
Makes sense, Pradeep?
So it's basically their power is like
Yes.
some kind of a power is doing like this job
Yeah,
or work.
like they're doing remote control, not necessarily they're living within our body like that.
So they leave us when we die, they leave us, but
Yeah,
not super soul. What
correct.
what about Kundalini Shakti?
Kundalini Shakti, I'm not aware of that Kundalini Shakti myself. Prabhupada doesn't talk about it. At least I
Yeah.
didn't get to read anything.
Okay.
Yeah, if you know something, you can share with me. I do not know anything from
Uh,
Bhakti Yoga perspective.
I do not know anything. That's why I come here to learn something.
Sure, Mati. Thank you. I do not know Mati myself. Yeah. Yeah.
I- um,
Any other
and
comments?
just the last one, like so when the living entity goes to Vaikunt,
Mm,
so like the spiritual body and living entity are the same or they're
yes.
different?
Yeah. In one sense, it's same, and one sense is different. Basically, it's not the spirit soul. Right now, we as a spirit soul have two material coverings. One is
Mhm.
the subtle body made of mind, intelligence, and false ego.
Mhm.
And another is gross body, the body that we're seeing right now, which is made of earth, water, fire, and ether here, right?
Mhm.
So both gross body, we know when somebody dies, gross body is gone here. Gross body
Mhm.
is here, we know already.
Mhm.
And When somebody is going to next body, we know that it's subtle body is carrying them to next body along with super soul, we know.
Mhm.
But when somebody is going to spiritual world, which is your question,
Mhm.
then even the subtle body goes away.
Mhm.
So then they're going in the spiritual body. So, and Prabhupada writes in one of the purports, the reason we are looking in this way is because our spiritual body inside is in the same form also, he describes. And the example he gives is the coat. When when a coat is hanging on the hanger, the
Mhm.
coat is in the form because we are there. Because I'm wearing this shirt,
Mhm.
uh, it is it is according to my body structure like that.
Mhm.
So like that, we have a spiritual body that is part and parcel of spirit soul himself. In fact, we have spiritual senses also is described. Not the ears that we have, eyes we have that will cause problems. Sometimes we cannot hear, sometimes I cannot see. I need glasses like this. Their perfect spiritual senses also we have the spiritual body like that is described. And is not separatable like that. That was your original question. It's not like material body how it's separating.
Mhm.
That's not how it's described, Mataji.
Yeah, because the living entity, that is the soul does not change.
Yes,
It doesn't change.
exactly. Yeah, that's the second
It
chapter of the.
cannot become big or small or
Yes,
different shapes. It will stay the same.
wonderful.
The spiritual body is spiritual body, like in Vaikunt, people there are people in spiritual body, so they have different shapes and sizes.
Ah,
So the spiritual body has different shapes and sizes, but their spark is it should stay the same, right?
okay. Basically, all of us currently, because we took up the material body, we are in this form currently.
Okay.
Then, when you go to spiritual world, depending upon the type of liberation we
Mhm.
get our original body. We all have original body and original constitutional position.
Mhm.
For example, you may be a friend of Krishna in the spiritual world. I
Mhm.
may be a servant of Krishna in the spiritual world. Like that, we all have a constitutional position and
Mhm.
we have a original spiritual body also. All of us. It's already there. It's not
Mhm.
that we'll acquire a particular type of body, not that type of body like that. When we
Mhm.
achieve perfection, we'll get back the original spiritual body that we are meant to have. Nothing different than that. So in that sense, in the spiritual world, for example, some of them get Sarupya liberation,
Mhm.
Sarupya Mukti. That means they get 400 form like Vishnu in Vaikuntha.
Mhm.
So then they will be have that form. That means that was the original form for us like that. And similarly, in Gorakh Vrindavan, if your role was a servant or a friend, then you will get that particular position like that. That is what I know, Mate.
Okay, so that's what I understood. So that in a spiritual world, the bodies, whatever shape they are. But when they come to material world, they become a spark. I guess that's what I am understanding.
Oh
Because
no.
the spark is because they say Atma does not changes the shape, size, or whatever. It's just a small spark.
Okay, now I understood. Yeah, we are always, spiritual is always referred as a spark, but basically that is the primary element. We might exhibit in a different form based on our service to Krishna in the spiritual world, spiritual world.
Okay.
So that is a way to understand it. Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
I think I am asking too many questions.
Yeah, I also don't know more than that. Whatever I understand, I'm sharing. Yeah.
And the seat of emotions. So is it like a anahat chakra, like hriday chakra? In like a yoga, there are different
Eight
chakras.
chakras.
So that is it's not the biological heart, but is it the anahat chakra, the seat
Uh,
of emotion, or is it
I'm
something
I'm
different?
not aware of the chakras, but I heard chakras are centers of energy in the body. There are eight
Yeah.
chakras in the body, the
Uh-huh.
top chakra being here,
Yeah.
and that's what I heard.
Yeah.
And heart, the seat of emotions, is different from those chakras. That's my understanding, Mate.
This is different. Okay. Yeah. It's all right. Thank you so much for this discourse and answering my questions. I'm just trying to learn
Very nice, Mate.
and trying to just not too much, but I'm just trying. That's
Very
all.
nice, Mate. Yeah, it's nice that you're sincerely attending regularly. Your name, Mataji?
Jaya, Jaya.
Jaya? Okay. Got it.
So
Nice.
yeah. Oh, I just found out about this classes, so that's why
Ah,
I want to
very
learn.
nice.
Thank you.
You live in this area near Baltimore Temple area or?
Yes, I
Mm,
do.
okay, very nice, Mate. Yeah, nice to meet you. So we'll end here today.
Thank you.
Sri Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Sri Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you so much.